Get ready to blow the dust off. This is History Hunter. History Hunter. We take history seriously fun, making history 3D, in color, connected. And now, here's your host, Craig Gottlieb.
Our auto switcher should be working now.
I hope so.
How long have we been working at this thing, man?
Since before dark.
It was, it's probably 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Well, you know what? 2 hours and 15 minutes well spent. I got to tell you,
That's what I'm talking about.
I saw my head in the vibe room.
You don't have to stop talking when I start talking.
What?
Yeah.
What?
you saw your head over the...
I did. It's got a very strange shape.
Of the vibe room?
Yeah, I was in the commercial.
Okay, you were. Yeah. Was it the back of your head?
Depends on if it changes my royalty structure.
Okay. Is it tough as we're setting up because you've dealt on such a high level with TV, everything like that? Is it hard? Because we're I like this studio.
Every minute I get to hang out with you is a good minute. Okay. So I'm like, take your time. I'm sitting here doing texts and stuff. But.
What would I just heard some of the conversation. You don't have to tell me the conversation that you just had on the phone, but it's amazing what you go through in a day. Like you were just hanging out with one of your buddies.
Well, what I talk about is interesting to you, and what you talk about is intensely interesting to me. I did not want to continue the conversation. I wanted to get off the phone as soon as possible.
No, but I thought it was cool.
And I'm not being arrogant. I'm just saying there's novelty is one of the, I think, that draws people's attention, in life, with animals, So I got cats. They will walk all over everything.
Wait a second. You got cats? You never told me this, man.
Yeah, I have 2 cats and 2 dogs.
Did you have the cats before you had the wife?
The cats came with the wife.
Okay.
But no, I got cats. They have cat towers. They've got cat pads. They've got cat everything.
My brother just went cat, dude.
Yeah, but wait. You put something new on the table. Within 1 minute, they're sleeping on the new sweater or a box, but they will ignore anything they've seen for more than 10 minutes. So again, coming back to our conversation, it's new to you, so it's exciting. And to me, I'm like, how
do we get to cats? But my brother just turned into Catmandu. He did. My brother's actually getting a cat for Christmas for his wife.
Let me be clear. I am not a cat man. I cannot even tell my cats apart. Now,
do you have a stroller for your cat?
No, I do not. Then they're black and they look the same. And
you can't tell them?
One's name is Tucker. One's name is Hyde. And guess what? They're both black. And my wife says one's soft and one's fluffy. Will you please tell me that those are not synonyms in some way?
Do they?
Soft and fluffy. Come on.
What are the names of the cats, man?
Tucker and Hyde.
Tucker. Why?
Well, it was going to be Jacqueline Hyde, but I think she changed it at the last minute.
Did you? So you had them. You were a part of naming them.
No.
Are you sure?
They came named.
Under oath?
Under oath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have dogs before?
I've had dogs, but we got dogs. We have new dogs, but the cats have been around since before I've been around. So there's
the dogs too, or did you bring the dog?
No, if the cats get out of my house, I'm next. So I make sure those cats don't get out of the house. Okay. Enough about my private life.
What did your day look like today, though? You called me randomly. Like I took a FaceTime while I was driving.
I don't remember. My day has been pretty fast. I had a doctor's appointment. It was pretty boring, actually.
Yeah.
I had a doctor's appointment. Then I had to hustle over and pick up all of this cool stuff we're going to talk about.
This stuff is gangster.
Wow.
Did you already tell my wife this stuff?
No, I didn't. But listening to the music on Vibe, I'm like, I feel a little gangster now.
It's
a complete, is a white guy okay to say? Can I say I'm a white guy? I'm like a white guy, I look really stupid.
Well, I was finding too that the arc of the day was pretty crazy, right? So we started off with men's group.
Yeah.
Right. So we start off in Proverbs, and we were talking about the wisdom and then foolishness. So we were talking about that and the arc in between, and we were talking about there. And then you go off, do your thing. We talk.
Oh, yeah. We definitely had different days.
And then I go get my son from school. I don't know if he is really sick, but he called me and said, hey, can you pick me up?
That's a good rule. Just pick him up.
So I just picked him up. No big deal. And then you go and pick up, how many things did you pick up?
I brought 4 things to talk about,
Yeah.
but we'll talk about it.
Let's talk about the first. This one is like the craziest one. You told me about this.
Oh yeah, okay.
You told me about this, and guess what? One of the kids that I just met the other day wants to be a nuclear engineer.
It's nuclear. It's not nuclear. I make that mistake all the time. I got to think about it before I say it.
Say
it's
it again.
Nuclear,
Nuclear,
not nuclear.
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 Well, how would nuclear be spelled?
I don't know, but it's not pronounced
It's
that way.
not that way.
Like I
Do
say,
you get in trouble?
No, but I got a photo album. Have you ever heard of anybody say photo album? I have been saying that my whole life, and everybody goes, "It's called an album."
I've never said album.
I'm the only person who's ever
You
said
are.
album, yeah. But we learned about Fanta today.
Yeah,
that was cool. I
Fanta
really
was. Can you
Fanta-
give the
Yeah,
cliff note
that
part?
blew my mind. Cliff notes. World War II, before World War II,
Yeah.
Coke was invented, I think in like 1910, 1920 maybe. I'm not 100% on the dates. But and yes, it had some sort of cocaine in it in the beginning.
It did, right? How
Yeah,
much
did.
of it do you know?
I do not know. I'm not a cocaine
But it was
expert.
used for. You're not a cocaine expert.
No, bottom line is it had some cocaine in it, okay? That's shocking enough. But what happened is
You remember the ad for it that said relieves fatigue? Do you know that it was that was the ad for Coke?
No, you're teaching me here.
So my parents had a one of the mirrors that had the Coke logo
like an
on
old
it.
advertisement.
Yeah, like
That's
an old
pretty cool.
advertisement. And it said Coca-Cola relieves fatigue.
I guess so.
I guess it did.
It did.
Does cocaine relieve fatigue though?
I wouldn't know. I do know that have a Coke and a smile might be apropos with that because, but that was more 1980s. And then
That
you got
was-
new Coke.
Well, cocaine was big in the
Okay.
80s.
This is like a couple of guys with ADHD talking. I was like, nobody wants to hear this. But no, I'm kidding.
I think that's what people want to hear.
Yeah, but the
Tell
thing
me
is,
the Fanta
yeah,
thing.
so the thing with Fanta is Coke made their money bottling and selling syrup worldwide. Okay. In fact, there's a great podcast I watched on the history of Coke. It was riveting. But
Let's go to Fanta.
Okay, so
Let's go to Fanta.
because it's cool. So Coke made their money selling syrup and bottling. Okay. And every country they have bottling plants, and Germany was no different. And Coke was really popular in Germany. They were like top 1 or top 2 consumers of sugary Coke ever. And then by this time, I don't think there was any cocaine.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure. Actually, they fixed that pretty quickly.
Should we check?
Who are we going to check with?
I could Google it.
Yeah, well, we'll talk later.
Okay.
We can figure that. We'll let the viewers research when cocaine left the Coke recipe. No wonder they keep it a secret. So so very popular. Then of course Hitler showed up and like ruined things,
Wrecked shop,
wrecked like the world.
Yeah.
And that's another story. But so when the war started, United States businesses couldn't do business in Germany, and so the German subsidiary couldn't get syrup, and so they still had because that's what they did. They sold the syrup, and so what they did is they said, we've got all these bottles, we've got a huge market, we've got all this equipment. What are we going to do? So what they did was they called their team in and they said, hey, we need to design something else that we can sell. We got a market. It's going to be easy. Think up anything. Use your wildest imagination. Okay. In German, the word is fantasy. Okay. Hold that thought. And so they came up with getting something they could find, which was basically old fruit. Okay. And they put it in a vat and they reduced it down to syrup, I guess, and carbonated it, and they sold it. And the name Fanta is short for fantasy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So World War II, this is technically like a Nazi drink,
Yeah.
right? Well, and it wasn't like the good Fanta we have today. And I had my first sip of Fanta ever I talked to you early.
You said it tasted like
Well, it does.
hummingbird nectar or
Yeah,
something.
have you ever had one?
You keep drinking one sip of
Have you
it.
ever had a Fanta? I'm going to do one more.
I like Fanta.
Who wouldn't like it? It's like drinking sugar water.
Dude, Fanta is the best though.
My heart is on hummingbird.
It
right
is.
now.
Fanta's the best when you put it in a glass bottle.
Okay.
Like the Mexican Fanta.
It's growing on me, probably because it's very highly addictive.
Yeah.
With all the sugar. But so anyway, they made Fanta, and then after the war, the war's over. We start doing business with Germany, and they say to the Coke people when they're back in business, "Hey, by the way, we made this product during the war. Try it." They liked it.
Did they sell it back to them?
I'm not sure how that worked business-wise, but they ended up producing Fanta as a secondary line. Immensely popular, and obviously it's so popular it's still around today.
I wonder if they sold it back. I don't know if you know the story of Magic Johnson with Starbucks. Do you know this?
I do not know the story.
So they didn't franchise. They never franchised, but they gave him the rights to be able to open up Starbucks in urban areas.
Mm-hmm.
When he went in, he, as opposed to doing scones, he did like bean pies and put it towards the neighborhood itself. He built them up, and they gave him the rights to Starbucks in these urban areas because they didn't think that they would go. But they built so big that he actually turned around and sold it back to them for a massive profit and put him on the map as far as business wise. So
I didn't know that.
I wonder if Germany sold it back to Coke and made something from it.
Well, Germany couldn't, because at the end of the war, Nazi Germany ceased to exist as a thing.
Okay.
No, nothing the German government owned was
Nothing
worth anything. I mean, no, it was no longer their property.
What was the first in the rebuilding of it? So when we get done with World War II. What's the first rebuilding of the government or the structure?
The only reason I can't tell you is because they had to rebuild everything. I mean, we bombed out of them, and there was literally almost nothing left.
Nothing left.
I mean, you look at pictures of Berlin after the war; it looks like we dropped a nuclear weapon on them. Weapon. But that's what we do when you lose a war to us. We help you rebuild your country, and that's what we did with Germany. But my point is, they had no intellectual property to anything.
Nothing. So we owned everything.
Well, I think the Coca-Cola company or the subsidiary took it back because a lot of companies and intellectual property was nationalized, and I'm not sure whether that happened with Coke or not. But the German government owned and had nothing. We recreated the German government.
How long did it take to recreate the German government?
Well, the government or Germany proper? Because
let's talk the government first.
Well, just to say Germany proper, you can still find buildings with war damage in Germany today.
Really?
And probably most of that is what is in the former Eastern Bloc, communist Germany, the DDR, because there are a lot of areas there that, because of communism, didn't have the money to rebuild.
Yeah.
But we reestablished government and turned over democratic rule to them, the Bundeswehr. I mean, that's the German army, but the German government is alive and well today. So so that's Fanta.
Yeah, that's Fanta.
Yeah, you want to talk about the cube?
Talk about this because I just had a kid. I just met this kid, and he nuclear.
Right.
Nuclear. Did I say it right there?
You want to? This is the happiest thing on the table.
Well,
hold it.
But you acted as my English teacher just a second ago, and you
nuclear.
checked my paper.
Yeah.
So nuclear. Did I say it right?
Nuclear. I think so. Yeah.
Nuclear.
Nuclear.
Nuclear. Can I say nuclear?
You can do that.
So it's not nuclear.
It's nuclear. Do whatever you want. Nuclear is fine. Okay.
Okay. Nuclear. Say it.
Nuclear.
You said it just like I said it.
I don't know, because I'm probably a moron.
So I just met a kid, and he said he's going to be a nuclear engineer.
Okay.
And I said, why? And he was like, I'm so, he's like an absolute genius. And he was talking about this. He was saying that he, was really interested. This is uranium.
This is my uranium. It's uranium, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is uranium, but if we had one of those uranium detectors, it would go nuts.
A Geiger counter would cause this it would cause the sound you hear in the movies. This is not uranium-235. This is not enriched uranium. So this is not. You can hold it. You can still have kids. That's what I was about to ask you. It's radioactive, but it's not dangerous.
Is this what they were looking for on Back to the Future?
I don't remember.
You don't remember Back to the Future?
No, I think whatever was powering
uranium?
it could have been.
Yeah, it was the flux capacitor.
No, that would power the engine and the flux capacitor.
Flux, not flux.
The flux capacitor did play a part, but I think it might have been uranium.
Was it uranium?
Could have been.
And they came after him at the beginning.
Yeah.
This is the heaviest thing on the table.
It is. And let me tell you a little bit about this cube. Okay. So unenriched uranium is not. I mean, it's hard to get, but it's not explosive. It's not highly radioactive. It's not what you can make a bomb out of. It's not what you can put in a nuclear reactor plant. And so Germany during the war and before the war was trying to go nuclear, just like America was and Japan was. Everybody understood after Einstein that there was a lot of power in splitting the atom. And so Germany spent a lot of time acquiring uranium. And they did not have the capability, thank God, to refine it to weapons grade, but they had assembled, and we know this because we ended up getting all of these cubes, 665 cubes just like this, and this is one of them. You can hold
665.
it.
There's
665.
only, holy
Yeah,
cow.
that weighs weighs more than gold. Weighs like tungsten. It weighs a lot. I think it weighs about 5 pounds for that little cube.
That's 5. No,
Yeah.
but that cube is more than 5 pounds.
Maybe more. I think
That's, I mean,
no, it weighs a lot.
I would venture to say 10.
It's one of the densest. It's very dense, which is why it weighs more. I mean, you could pick up a cube of steel; it would have to be like 4 times as big to weigh this much.
Holy cow. I didn't even realize that. That's no joke.
So it is no joke. And
how many pieces of that are there in the world?
Well, there were 665. And after the war ended, as you know, the Soviets and the Americans, we were on
most of the stuff you're going to say, I don't know.
Okay,
so when
well-
you were saying, as you know,
Well, okay.
I didn't pay attention as much as in history class.
Well,
I should have.
There was an operation called Operation Paperclip where we went around Germany to try to get all the scientists to bring them back to America because they were really smart and doing a lot of good things. Of course, Nazi Germany had expelled a lot of their Jewish scientists, which is why we had Einstein. But a lot like Werner Heisenberg, he's a German who was basically behind most of their nuclear weapons program or their nuclear program. The guy who ended up basically running NASA, what's his name? Werner von Braun. He built the V2 rocket. He was a Nazi scientist. He was in the SS even, and he came and started NASA for us, part of Operation Paperclip. And so the Russians were doing the same thing. It was a hunt to get the leading scientists on our side and basically take them and use them. And that's basically fueled the Cold War. Really interesting. But another thing we did is we were running all over Germany looking for their materials. And we got wind that they had a bunch of uranium, so we went and found it. And the story goes that this team found 665 of these cubes. And they were somehow the Germans were suspending these on wires, and this is actually an original piece of
This is one of the 665.
This is one of the 665 left, and it's funny. I'll tell you how rare this actually is, and you can see these little lines here where they were suspending these and hanging them around because what they were trying to do was figure out how to get a nuclear reaction going, and the more uranium you have closer together, you can build a critical mass and start a reaction. And they never did it, but we took their uranium and it wasn't refined. They didn't have the capability, but we brought it back. And guess what happened to it? We have no idea.
What?
It's gone. It came back to America. It's like the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No way.
They put it somewhere.
It's like our tax dollars.
And it's gone. It's gone somewhere. Now, there are a lot of theories. That it's still sitting in some basement archive in Foggy Bottom, Virginia or whatnot. Just nobody knows what it is. There's other theories that this actually went into our nuclear weapons program and was refined and became part of bombs that we either dropped or had or tested. So we may have used the uranium and enriched it. But obviously, people like souvenirs, and some people took some of them and kept them. And there's, I think, 12 that have been accounted for, and every once in a while one shows up. Now, and the provenance is everything, because you can literally, with a easy permit today, you can buy a cube of uranium, but this is actually one of the ones that was discovered and kept. And and interestingly enough, there's a slice missing. At some point, someone did an experiment on it, and they cut a piece off. And
so when they enrich it, how do they enrich it?
I am not 100% sure. I'm not a nuclear scientist, but I do know that the 235 uranium that would come out of a cube like this is a lot smaller than this cube.
Okay, so
incidentally, though, interestingly enough, if this were uranium-235, it wouldn't go off if you dropped it. But the size of this cube, incidentally, is slightly larger than the amount of uranium-235 that was in the little boy bomb that actually created fission in the bomb and destroyed a city. So this much uranium, more or less, in enriched format.
If this was enriched,
this much uranium actually fissioned and blew up a city.
What?
That much, it's crazy. And so that's one of the reasons this is so really, really cool. Not that it's just a piece of history, but you think about.
Are you sure it won't affect my hands?
It will not affect.
Will hand sanitizer?
Nope. You can put it in your pants and walk around for a week. Nothing's going to happen.
This is a heavy thing that I'll put on my pants. Yeah.
But that's incredible because you hold a piece of something like this in your hands, and that's a thing for me.
That's so 665. Tell me the profile of a person that is it a collector, just a person that is.
This actually does not belong to me. It belongs to a very dear friend of mine whose specialty is nuclear history. He's a former rocket scientist. He's really, truly, he's 92. He worked for I think the Atlas. He was a rocket scientist. He developed the Atlas missile, and he's an incredible guy. And he collects things like this. And he's the reason I've learned so much about nuclear history. I actually know how the little boy bomb works because he's shown me his models, a number of times, and it's really, really cool. But the neat thing about holding something like this is, for me, a piece of history is like either a little time machine, that brings you back to a person, a place, or an event in history. But why? Because it's, for me, also another thing. It's a thought machine. When you hold something like this, your mind just goes crazy. You start thinking about stuff.
Yeah. That's unbelievable, man.
Super crazy.
Well, I think the cool thing with you too is, man, I was just talking to my buddy George, and his family is he's got family from Germany. His dad was in a Japanese concentration camp. What war would that have been?
That would have been World War II.
Would it have been?
Yeah, the Japanese had concentration camps as well. Yeah, I
so
have a friend of mine who was in one.
Was there what was the war right before that?
Well, the main one would have been World War I, but there were wars in between.
Okay.
There was war in China.
Okay. I can't remember the exact war that he was talking about, but it might have been World War II.
It was going to be World War II. That's when the Japanese had internment camps.
He said that he went over to Germany and he was visiting with some of his family, and then they were, touring some places, and they were on a parking lot. The parking lot that I'm about to talk about. Because they said, do you understand where you're standing? And he looked around and he said, it's a parking lot. And they said, no, 30 feet below right here is Hitler's bunker.
Yeah. They turned it into a parking lot.
And they just covered, it's just no one could get to it?
Well, they did it for a reason. They didn't want key locations in Germany to become like Nazi shrines, and they didn't want to promote like Nazi tourism. So there are a lot of classic buildings that were used during the Third Reich that are still in existence today. Yeah. But buildings like Hitler's Berghof, where he lived, they dynamited it in the 50s, I think.
Okay.
We used it for a while as an officers' club for the army before we turned Germany back over to the Germans. But the bunker, they ended up filling it with concrete. They literally pumped it with, I don't know how many millions of gallons, but they filled it with concrete. So it's just a big block of concrete down there. And then they just paved it over. And there's not even a sign that was what that was. Yeah. Which is, I think, sort of appropriate.
I think so.
Yeah.
So this one in the middle, I know you have the tendency to go, but I want to go right to the middle because is this the one that you showed? This isn't the one that you showed me before.
No, I don't think you've seen this.
I know, but you show up with the most random stuff.
I do. My trunk's full of random stuff.
Which is so great. We were talking to Kevin this morning at Men's Group, and you said something about his watch. You were going to get it cleaned and all the stuff, and then you're like, "Let me check in my car if I've got another watch for you to wear for the day."
Yeah, I borrowed his watch. I usually have stuff like that.
But the last time when you came in was something similar to this.
I had some gun. It was like
you had two guns. It was like dueling guns or something.
Maybe they were dueling pistols. Yeah.
And I said to you, I was like, "Oh my gosh, my son has some stuff like that," and you were like, "I guarantee you, your son doesn't have anything like this." What is this one?
The reason this is cool, and again, there's always a reason I like stuff. It's not just because it's a gun or because it's cool. I mean, and one of the things that really sort of lights me up are things that are transitional, that were like innovative. Like I just bought the very first circuit board that NVIDIA ever put out in 1995. And not the very first, but one of their very first. It was called.
It had number 1 on it when you showed it.
It had an NV1 chip, and anyway, I thought that was cool because it was the very first chip they ever produced. It was on a Sega 3D sound card, Diamond Edge, I think it was called. Yeah. And
I've got the video. I'll post the video. Okay. I haven't posted that one, but that one was unreal.
But I like that because it was the very first thing that a company that's now worth $4 or $5 trillion ever made, and it wasn't even commercially successful, which leads me into this. Yeah. Who invented the revolver?
Smith & Wesson?
No. Who else would you say?
Colt.
Yeah, you'd say Colt. Colt or Smith & Wesson, and they were very first. In some ways, I'm about.
They were probably better with branding.
Well, they were basically. You're jumping the gun here, but they. Colt, Smith & Wesson. Colt was the first company to ever bring a commercially, basically a working revolver with a couple of extra features to market.
Okay.
But it all started with this gun. Colt. Well, first of all, let's back up a little further.
Okay.
First about guns, there's three things that since the Chinese invented gunpowder in like the year like 900-ish. I'm not really, dates aren't super important to me.
Okay.
It's basically.
I don't think anyone's going to fact check you on.
Well, you could.
900.
I think it is the 900s.
Maybe the 900, but that's 100 years that you're giving us leeway in.
Yeah, but this is a lot.
But you're good.
Very long ago.
Okay.
So basically, and then about maybe 300 years later, they actually started using it to fire projectiles.
Okay.
And
what was the first use of gunpowder?
Well, actually, they were actually researching some sort of longevity drug or some
Seriously?
longevity.
So people
treatment.
were eating it?
I don't know what they were doing, but they weren't looking for something to kill people with.
What did they call it? Because they
know.
couldn't have called it gunpowder because it wasn't a gun.
No, but they were looking for some sort of medicine, and they created gunpowder. So the exact opposite of longevity.
So people ate this stuff.
I don't know.
Let's look into that.
We can.
We've got
to
to
know.
look into, did Germany have cocaine in the Coke?
Yeah, I
and we've
doubt
got
it.
to look at the gunpowder.
I'm sure somebody ate it, but obviously, So since then, firearms development technology has been focused on three things. People who make guns, they want to shoot further, more accurately,
Okay.
and they want to shoot more. Okay, so they want better. They want to hit the target they're aiming for further away,
Got it.
and they want to shoot more bullets.
Okay.
Downrange. So whether that's a machine gun or a repeating rifle or, and that's basically those three things have driven firearms technology since the get-go. But from the beginning, you've needed three things. You've needed a spark, you've needed some sort of propellant or accelerant, in this case gunpowder, and you need a bullet. Okay? So some way, shape, or form, any gun has those three things. Okay? And very, very early on, there were ways of getting that done. There was something called a match lock and a wheel lock to get the spark into the powder to shoot the bullet out of the barrel. You also need a barrel, by the way. You need something enclosed to create the pressure. Now,
Got
you
it.
ever seen a movie where they throw a bunch of ammunition on a fire and everybody ducks because the bullets are flying everywhere?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't happen. If you empty, don't do this. But if you empty a box
Probably
of,
not going
no,
to.
really shouldn't do this. But it's not going to happen like the movies make it out to be. You're going to dump some cartridges onto a fire and they'll pop.
Even like a shotgun?
Nothing's going to do anything. It's just going to pop and they're going to fizz because
That's it.
if you break open here's the thing: you break open a cartridge and you put the powder on a surface and you light it, just goes. Psh, it takes a while to burn up.
Okay.
The key to making a projectile is the pressure in the
Got it.
chamber. So
Okay.
the bullet has to the cartridge or the bullet, as you'll see, has to be in there, and that spark creates a pressure, which under pressure fires the bullet down.
Okay.
Okay.
Projectile.
So
Got
the
it.
projectile, yeah, and it's a bullet. So, but fast forward, the first real lock, as they call it, the way guns work, that, excuse me, too much Fanta, that people knew about, is the flintlock. It's
Okay.
a dueling pistol.
Yeah.
And the way a flintlock works is you've got it's pretty basic. It's like, hammering a piece of flint against a piece of metal. You make a spark. And so when you pull the trigger, the hammer goes down, carrying the flint. It scrapes against a piece of metal, makes a spark. Now, in what's called the pan, which is something outside the gun, there's a little bit of gunpowder. Okay, it goes off. When it goes off, there's a hole on the side of the gun. It goes in. It ignites the main charge because you've put powder inside the gun. You've ever seen this? They're loading the gun up, and that powder explodes. Under pressure, it puts the bullet downrange.
Got it.
Okay, but what's wrong with that? A lot of things can be wrong with that. Your flint can fall out. You can hit the pan and the powder charge falls out. So this is not. It's better than the ones before it. There was actually like a match lock where you would literally light the match and then pull the trigger, and then the match would hit onto the powder, and you're in a battle.
Good Lord. Yeah. So every time that they made an improvement on one of these guns, they were improving something like that.
One of
some
those three
part of
things.
it,
Yeah,
whether it be the barrel, like the barrel longer,
or rifling.
rifling.
Rifling, yeah.
Got
Once
it.
rifling came along, our accuracy was phenomenal. I like to tell people that some of the flintlock muskets were sort of area fire. You really couldn't hit what you're aiming for. You just
just
shot
shoot into
enough
the
of
area.
them and something would get hit.
Okay.
So that's the flintlock.
Yeah.
And then 1807 comes around, and a guy named John Forsyth invents something called a cap, a percussion cap. Okay. And it basically combined the flint with the initial outside, not the accelerant, but the external flash powder.
Yeah.
Okay. And they put it in this little metal cap, something, I think it's called fulminated mercury. Basically, it was an explosive that would react to impact. Okay. And so it would go off, and then there was something called a nipple. Guns have lots of sort of like PG-13 names. And you see this on a lot of Colts now, and I'm fast forwarding a little bit, and it would shoot that little fire into the nipple. And same thing though.
Is that a part of the gun?
It's part of the gun.
Okay, so they're improving the gun. They're not improving the ammunition at this time.
Yeah, but sort of both. Because what you had to do is you'd load the cylinder, and you'd have to load the cylinder like an old Civil War Colt revolver. You load the cylinder, and you've got to you put powder in the cylinder. Then you put Then you jam the bullet in, and it sort of pushes the powder down, and so you create what they used to create.
Got it.
In the flintlock.
Got it.
Now fast forward to modern cartridges. Okay, this is really interesting. Now we've got a cartridge. If you take an actual bullet, people call it a bullet, but you open a box of modern ammunition, it's a cartridge, and you got all of it built in. You've got the primer, which is like the flint or like the percussion cap. Then you've got the powder already contained in a shell, and on the front of that, you got the bullet. You put that in a chamber, and
then you just hit it. Bam.
Bam, and that's so. Okay. Anyway, so back to 1807. Forsyth invents the percussion. That's great. Okay, so that now flintlocks can work a little better. But remember, one of the other principles is volume of fire. And
like how many times you can do
how many bullets you can shoot out without having to stop and reload for a minute.
Of course. Okay? Is this the first one?
No, it's sort of like that.
Okay.
Basically, where was I? Okay, so Samuel Colt, and this is partial legend. It may be a little bit of marketing, but he used to talk about this. 1830, he's a kid. He's working on a sailing ship, and he likes guns, and he notices the wheel that is steering the ship. And there's three things that he knew about, and this is why this gun is really great. He noticed that the wheel had a ratchet, okay, and so they would turn the wheel, and the rudder would basically stay in place, right? Yeah. And he thought about that. And he also had experience with this gun. This is called a collier. And this was invented in the 1820s. And it was an American, but he got a patent in England. And what he did with this gun, this is one of the very, very first revolvers ever built.
Really?
Okay. So it actually has a...
How many bullets go into this one?
I think it's 5.
Is it 5?
But basically, and it's sort of hard to move, because
there's
part of the struggle. You had to manually move the. You had to, and if you push, there it is. You push back, so you fire the gun. Okay.
Boom.
You push back on the revolver, and you put it onto the next position.
You had to do that manually?
Yeah, but it was
Isn't it hot?
No.
It doesn't create any.
But think about this before. You had to literally spend time. You could preload this and have 5 or 6 shots.
Okay, so you would go bang, and then
bang,
you pull.
Then you push this back, set it up again, cock it, and immediately go bang again. Now, this is a flintlock. Collier's first gun was a flintlock, but he patented this at just about the time that the percussion was patented. Okay. And so very, very few flintlocks were ever made. They made them into percussion. And there's an example of a gun just like this. That's the same thing, but percussion. But you still had to manually turn the cylinder. And so what Colt did, he said, I've seen this gun. I like the revolver idea. I've been on this ship. I know how this ratcheting system works. What if we could automate this a little bit so that when you pulled the hammer back, it automatically advanced the cylinder to the next round? And before, like this gun has problems. If it's out of alignment, it's not going to go off. He created a system where when you pulled the hammer back, it basically notched forward. And
so how long was this in existence then? Because that was the short span.
This was the very first revolver, which is why I love it.
That's the very first revolver.
Very first revolver pretty much ever made.
How long did that one go for until Smith & Wesson, or it was Smith & Wesson, right?
And let me back up a bit. There were other manufacturers tried to do the same thing, but Forsyth,
patented that?
Collier was the one who basically made, this is the first commercially acceptable and producible and usable revolver.
How many of those are left?
Not
Is
a
there
lot.
a lot?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
No.
How do you know, like when you look at it, how do you know that it's not a remake?
I say this a lot. And I've said this before. If I, what kind of car do you drive, Kelly?
I drive a truck, a Nissan
Okay.
Titan.
If I took your Nissan Titan and took it away and put another one in its place, it wasn't the exact truck, but it was like sort of the same year and stuff.
Yeah.
You get in it. How long is it going to take you to know that that's not your
it's
truck?
very quick.
Instantaneous. Well, a lot of stuff I've been doing for a long time.
Is this theory true that I've heard this, that the people in the FBI that study counterfeits, they don't actually study all the counterfeits. They only study the real thing so they could spot a fake from a mile away. Is that
'cause
true?
Well, why is it true? Because you can only make one original. You can make all sorts of different kinds of counterfeits.
What are some of the things when you look at it in your mind, like when you look, what are you looking for? Because say like the untrained eye with me, when you came in with the dueling pistols, Craig, that day, I was like, oh, wow, my son has something like that. And you were like, no, he doesn't. And then you let me know of the little kind of things that you can see that I couldn't. What can you see on this thing?
Well, you can hold it while we talk.
Okay, I'm not going to point it anywhere.
Well, I appreciate that. The work and the age is really hard to recreate. That gun's 200 years old, and there's layers and layers and layers of age. Now, can that be redone? Yeah, but okay, let's just say this: the amount of money you'd have to spend to build a perfect counterfeit of that gun is more than that gun's worth. That gun's probably worth $50,000-$60,000. So to tool up to make something like that would be not worth it. And on top of that, all of a sudden, onto the world market would come a bunch of Colliers, and they would all look the same because they've all been made the same, and people would spot them. So then you'd have to change it again. It's not worth it.
Got it.
It's not worth making a perfect counterfeit of the Collier. So, but let me just say that, so Colt took this gun, he took his experience on a ship, and he took the percussion cap, and he blended all of these new ideas into one gun, which was
so he didn't invent, the Smith & Wesson didn't invent the gun, they just improved it.
That's correct. They basically, what they did is they combined really three sort of interesting ideas into one new idea.
Well, and I think I mean, you look at it, a lot of times the first to market isn't the one that gets the most advantage.
In fact, his first commercial revolver was the Colt Patterson, and it really wasn't a great gun. I mean, it worked, but it just wasn't made out of great steel. In fact, they could have gone out of business, but they made other guns that worked.
And that was Colt. So did Colt make Collier, or Collier make Colt, or no? That's two different.
Collier was a completely different company.
Got it.
Colt
And
was
that's
a
this
company.
one.
Smith & Wesson had their own patents, and but everybody's doing sort of the same thing. But what's important about this gun is that this is one of three things that Samuel Colt, who, guess how old he was? He was like in his 20s when he did this.
What?
Now, all of these people in history, Kelly, and this is a thing that really makes you stop and think, how many 20-year-olds are doing things like this today? I mean, there are, you know, but most of these guys, this was 20-something years old when he invented this. That's crazy.
And this one's a Colt.
No, this is a
Collier.
This is a Collier,
Okay.
but Colt was
Colt
the genius.
improved it.
Just like he's like, building a computer in his garage, basically.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent. He was a young guy, and he changed the world.
Wow. And did this have rifling in the?
Yeah, this is where it all started.
Okay.
This
has rifling. So this one can shoot straighter.
Yeah, it can shoot straighter.
What's the underneath part?
Oh, this is a little packing tool that you can use to pack the cylinder.
Oh,
It's got a little tool here. You take it out and use it to pack.
Okay.
But again, the thing I want to stress about this is, guy was in his 20s, and he did this, and that's not an uncommon thing. If you look at throughout history, all these history changers, they're in their 20s and their 30s, young people.
What do you think the difference is during those times and during now? Do you think it's just distraction?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it could be. I mean, there are things that, kids are coming up. I mean, working obviously with AI, things like that, Zuckerberg, how old was Zuckerberg when he did Facebook?
In college.
He was in college.
He was in college. So
20.
there's one of those guys, and he's a billionaire now.
And then how about, let's see, Tony Hsieh was, Zappos.
Same. Yeah.
So I guess we have them.
We do have them.
You know, we
we'll
have
see in a
them
couple
around.
100 years if we know who Mark Zuckerberg is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we will.
I think we will too.
It's
I think
wild.
you know, life. These are inventions, and once in a while, once a generation, twice a generation. You know,
Have you ever
technologies
invented anything?
No.
You haven't?
No, the dreams and the thoughts in my head. No, I really
Okay.
haven't. But you know what I'm saying? This leads into the next topic. But you get, like we've had in our life, we've had mobile phones.
Yeah.
We've had the internet, and now we've got AI. Which of those three things has changed? I think they're all sort of like related.
And then you think about, well, I mean, social media is part of the internet, but I mean, social media is like the Facebook phenomenon. And then you look at, I mean, how people are even listening to us right now. I mean,
Well-
if they're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify or anything like that, that
yeah.
kind of stuff freaks me out too.
Well, how about like our parents? Planes flying.
That's wild.
I think the Wright brothers took their first flight in like 1909.
You know
Guess what, by the way?
What's that?
1909. When did we land on the moon? I don't know if it's 1909, but it's roughly 60
In the
years.
50, yeah, 50s or 60s.
60, 65 years between the time that they took their first flight and
That's
the time
crazy.
we landed men on the moon. 60 years. Not a lot of time.
Yeah. My wife's grandma, Grandma Treegagel, she died at 107.
Jeez.
Just recently, a couple years ago. And what's wild for her is, you know, she was born, I think she was born in, I can't remember, I think it was 1906 or early 1900s. So she saw the car be invented.
Crazy.
She then had a little tiny device that she could talk to people on, that she could video call people. This is nuts. But
No.
let's go to this, because this is some sort of literature, I take
so
it.
technology is one thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to, you'll live, every person I think will live through some great technological development that'll change the world. Just go think, you just start thinking back. But what about an idea? What about an idea that changes the world? And just an idea, a way of looking at the
What's
world.
the last one that you think that changed the world? An idea.
I know the top one, I think, that changed the world, and it's in this book.
What's
But-
another one outside of the book?
Well,
I'm trying to think of an idea. But
you
it's
know-
interesting because I have a friend named David Hamilton, and he told me this. He was going to, he was going to sell his company, and he didn't get the valuation that he wanted. And then he did a technology, like an app that didn't produce any income, but was just serviced his guest better. And when they came back, he got a better valuation, a lot better, a lot more favorable. And what he told me afterwards is that people will pay more for the idea than they did for your work.
did what he do change the world?
It changed his business.
That's nothing.
Okay.
In my opinion, you know what? That's nothing.
Okay.
I mean, when I say that's nothing, it's great for him.
Yeah.
But it didn't change the world.
Yeah.
Things people have done have changed the world.
But ideas.
Technologies, but ideas. If you think back to this, I'm going to take you way far back now.
Okay.
Okay.
Going in the
So there
Wayback
was
Machine.
Let's go way, way back.
We could use the uranium in the flux
right.
capacitor and go back.
I would give everything for a time machine.
1.21 gigawatts.
I
You know
would
what that is?
Yes, I do. What powers the? Yeah, I know.
Do you know how much power is that?
I do not know. I think it's made up. Great
What?
Scott, Barry, 1.21 gigawatts. Yeah. All right, anyway, let me tell you this.
I
So-
love giving you a hard time too.
What are you talking about, Barry? Great Scott. It's a time machine, a
so-
DeLorean. I've got style.
If you could be in a time machine, where would you go? Like right now, if you could be in a time machine,
Well, people always ask
what
me.
would you dial up?
Well, if I had the ability to live forever, ever, or travel time, I'd pick travel time any day.
Okay, but where would you go? Like right now,
Right now,
right now.
let's see. I'd probably. This is going to sound like a Miss America thing, but I'd want to go meet Jesus.
That would be
I don't know
kinda
where
cool.
I'd want to go.
He probably wouldn't look like the way we think he looks.
Probably not, but I'd want to meet Jesus. I'd like to be. I'd like to be present at some of like the most incredible.
Yeah.
I'd like to watch the Wright brothers take off. You know, I'd like to be in like a.
What if you just got to pick one place, like one place specific, like go,
Jesus.
boom, where in Jesus' life? There was 3 years that he was in
It wouldn't
ministry.
be like crucifixion. It'd be something normal. It'd be like,
I would want to see him turn over the tables.
yeah, but I'd want to like be able to talk to him too.
I'd want to ask him, like, right when he was about to turn over the tables, what you about to do?
Hey, what are you thinking? You know what I mean?
Where are
You
you
know what
at?
happened? He would just look at me And he'd be like, I know you. Back to your time.
Okay.
Busy. So, okay. An idea that changed history. If you think, I mean, everybody, we joke about people who think the world is flat. I mean, but that's what people used to think. But everybody also used to think that the Earth was the center of the solar system.
Yeah.
And of course, they couldn't see a universe, so they didn't even know about the universe. They saw stars. They thought that the Earth was the center. And why'd they think that? Well, so the way it looked when you looked up in the sky, right? It looks like everything's revolving around you. And you get up in the morning, the sun sets in the east, it lands in the west and sets, and your ground isn't moving. So that's a pretty natural conclusion. That's just the way it looks. About like 3rd century BC, there was a scientist. It's not a scientist. He was a philosopher. That's what they called scientists back before there was science. They were not physical philosophers, natural philosophers. That's what scientists were called before they were
Natural
scientists.
philosophers. I'm going to use this. I'm not texting.
I think
but
it's
I
natural
I want to
philosophers.
look this. I want to look something up. Keep going because I want to look something
and
up.
so 300 BC, a guy named Aristarchus, he got the idea that, well, I don't think that's true. I think the Earth is the center. Excuse me. I think the sun is the center of the universe. And everybody thought he was crazy. And he had some reasons for thinking that, but we don't know the reasons because almost none of his work survives. We just know who he was and what he thought about. Really, nothing happened with Aristarchus that we know about. But in the late 1400s, you ever heard of a guy called Copernicus?
Copernicus, yes.
Yeah. Well, Copernicus had the same idea. But he didn't use a telescope because he didn't have a telescope.
Okay.
He used his mind, he used math, and he used his eyeballs. He just looked up. He noticed some things that didn't make sense with the geocentric version of the world, of the universe. Now, the church thought that the Earth was and will continue to be the center of the universe because that's the only thing that made sense to them.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you're wrong. And so he came up with a brilliant idea called the heliocentric version of the universe, of the basically the sun is the center. But he was a little smart though. He wasn't like Galileo who comes later. He didn't really tell anybody. But
Where was Copernicus at?
I think he was Polish. I really don't know. It's a good question.
What do you think they called him in school? They think they called him Cappy?
Yeah, it could be cruel. Kids can be really cruel.
But I'm saying,
I'll get you.
That's a long name.
Yeah.
Everyone had long syllables
Yeah,
during that time.
They did. Well, Copernicus.
Copernicus.
And he was an astronomer. He went to university.
Got
He
it.
had a position in the church.
Okay.
But he
In the Catholic Church?
yeah, that's the only thing. But this was before
that
this
time.
was before the Protestant Reformation.
Got it,
So
okay.
yeah. And you're asking me a lot of hard questions that I don't know the answers
Well,
to,
I mean,
but that's
that's how
cool.
we could find out.
Well, here's the thing, though. So he waited until his death, basically his death year, and then he published his book. And in that book, he was the very first person to actually to publicize and promote the idea that the Earth was not the center of the universe, that it was the sun. And he had many observations, and it made sense to him mathematically. And I think they didn't publish a lot of them. Now, by the way, the Gutenberg Bible had been printed on the Gutenberg printing press just like not too long before. I think it was the 1200s. So him publishing a book was like you go into social media or whatever. He used the most modern technique he could find to share his thoughts with the world.
Okay.
He published a book. That's not something you can do. Like it's not print on demand.
Yeah.
Okay, these are printed books. And
That was Copernicus.
This is Copernicus, and this is one of his books.
There's no way.
This is a way. Now, this book is...
When was this printed?
Well, it was printed, I think, in the 1490s. Let's see.
Look,
There's a...
1490s?
Yeah. Let me see. I've got a couple of notes in here. Now, I think it was 1490s. But anyway, it was about 60, 70 years before Galileo got in trouble with the Catholic Church. Now, this has been rebound. The binding is very, very old, a couple hundred years, even the old binding. But the pages are original. And then check this out. Now, I'll put some, if there's a way, like put some pictures up so your viewers can see some
will.
of this stuff. This is the page where he literally...
Holy crap.
This was the page where he outlined and began to unleash his, and you can sort of see it there. That's his diagram. And this was the page that the Catholic Church later said, no.
So this had to be rebound.
The binding was probably destroyed many centuries ago.
So go back to the page, man.
Page.
The special page. You marked the special page.
I did, because it's so. This is
your
the page.
hands are shaking while you're doing it.
No, because
that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, this is an idea that changed history. It changed the world. It changed everything.
What do you think people did when they read it the first time?
No. No.
Were they just like, that's
It didn't even make sense to them. Why? Because look at the sky. You get up in the morning, the sun comes up. It revolves around the sky and sets. But he had noticed a few things. He said, this doesn't really make sense. They watched planetary motion. Planets don't seem to just do that. There's what they used to call retrograde motion. Somehow they went backwards.
Yeah.
And in order to make and I'm not a scientist, so I'm sort of winging it here. I'm sure there's people who will be able to correct some of what I've said. I'm more about the history here.
Of course.
But the planets they had retrograde motion diagrams, and this was very complicated. And he said, no, I think the sun is at the center of the universe and the solar system, and you're wrong. Now, interestingly enough, his outer circle, he didn't get everything right. His outer circle is the firmament where the stars were glued, basically. He thought he had a circle out there, and he thought there was a circle outside the planets where the stars had like there was a glass sphere or something, and there were holes inside the glass, and heaven was shining through, and that's what stars were. He didn't know.
What language is this written in?
It's written in Latin.
This is in Latin. Do you speak Latin?
I do not. Ixnay on the Latin say.
Okay, so here was the thing. The reason why I was saying about this, because this was written before there was science.
There was no science.
There was no science.
This is a philosopher.
So this is what I was about to ask you about, because science, it has 4 properties. I had to look it up, so people are watching me with this. Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit. He started MetFix now. But he has a thing called broken science. And broken science is based off of conjecture, which is an observation, hypothesis, a theory, and then law. That's what the 4 principles of what science was. So what you're talking about is this idea came into being before those 4 had even... Because that's what science is.
This was before Galileo.
That's crazy.
This was before Newton. This was before the scientific method. This was before we knew what germs were. I mean, this is revolutionary stuff.
Holy.
And that's one of the ways now you're landing on why this changed the world. This was like the beginning of science. It wasn't called science then, but that's why this idea changed everything.
How did you find, how'd you find this?
Doesn't belong to me. I wish it did. Yeah.
But with your friend, how does he find this?
He finds them in his wallet. Yeah, he buys stuff at auction. Yeah, that's his line, not mine. But he's what I call he pays the last price because he wants it. He loves it
that
because of. And this is the kind of, and not all this stuff belongs to him, but this does, clay, and it's incredible. He's such a generous man too. He said, there's probably $1 million on the table here. And he's like, yeah, take it. Bring it back to me tomorrow.
Am I allowed to ask what this goes for?
I don't know what it goes for. You can probably, you know what? The title is something I can't pronounce. It's Latin.
Yeah.
And you can probably look it up online and probably find out one.
So we're sitting, for the people that are just listening and not watching, you need to go to YouTube and watch this. But we're looking right now at something that predates science.
It does.
And changed,
incredible.
Literally changed the world.
That's the idea that I say change. And it's not just because we said, I guess we're wrong. I guess the sun's the center. That's not the reason it changed.
I can't imagine.
That has an impact. It definitely changed things.
Yeah.
And by the way, Galileo comes along. This is also incredible. Galileo comes along. He's young too. I think about 60 years. And he uses a telescope. Okay, he actually proved what Copernicus was only theorizing about because Copernicus didn't have proof. Galileo did. Okay, he looked into the sky, and you can do this with binoculars. If you don't believe me, take some good binoculars out and look at Jupiter. He saw moons revolving around Jupiter, and he goes, "Oh, wait a minute. If Jupiter, which is supposed to be revolving around us, has moons revolving around it, how can we be the center of the universe? That doesn't make sense." And there were other things he saw. But he actually looked into a telescope and proved what Copernicus had only basically guessed at.
I'm just thinking about that during that time, the people, his friends, the people around him got to think this guy is absolutely insane.
Copernicus, Galileo, yeah. Well, Copernicus.
Well, let's talk. I mean, we're going Copernicus. We got his book in front of us.
Copernicus, they would have burned him at the stake, but they can't burn a dead man. I mean, he was dead. And
how old was he when he published the book? Do you know?
I think he's in his 20s.
Are you
Again,
joking?
in his 20s. I mean, I actually 99% sure he was in his late 20s.
And
Maybe, no, actually, I'm wrong. He came up with the theory when he was in his 20s, but he died when he waited until near his death to publish the book. He
knew he was going to.
He was a smart man, yeah, and he was therefore less controversial. Now Galileo,
did he only publish one book?
This was his only book.
Only book.
I'm almost positive.
Do you know how many versions or how many books went out?
Well, I think it was about. I have it written down. I think it was under 5,000, and there are only, and that's a lot of books. There was only about 200 left in any 2 to 250 in any way, shape, or form. Like some are in better condition, some are in worse condition. Yeah. I would imagine if you had one in perfect, like when I say perfect, original binding, the pages in here are so good. Anybody who's a book collector is probably going to send you lots of nasty. My hands are very clean. Let's just put it that way, and I'm being very careful. But that's not something you normally get to touch. And I think if this book had an original binding, it'd be $1 million book. I don't know how far south this is of that, but it's not the point. The point, and it's
the point is the history.
It's valuable because of what it did. His idea changed. His idea led to the creation of science. Now, guess what? You show me a science textbook that's 30 years old, I'll show you a science textbook that is out of date. All science textbooks are out of date. So that does tell you something.
Yeah.
It tells you that science is usually the best guess for now.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about as far as like with science, the basis of it being conjecture, hypothesis, theory, and then law. That's the basis of it. So there's constantly new conjecture.
Science was the best guess it's the best guess at the time. If you want to talk about, we don't want to get too deep in this, but here's another idea that changed history, evolution. Okay. Now, at the time, Darwin, he didn't have a microscope. He didn't know what the inside of a cell looked like. He actually I think he called it a blob of jello. So there was a lot he doesn't know, which today is sort of embarrassing for evolutionary biologists because they don't have a real strong leg to stand on in some areas, because a lot of the stuff that Darwin thought up, he may not have agreed with if he really knew it was inside a cell. Anyway, that's a topic for completely other podcasts.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's people much better than me.
And you're probably going to have some book from Darwin that I'm sure.
I've never owned or touched an original origin of the species, but right or wrong, that's an idea that changed the world.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's another thing. And, just to recap that this led to the creation of science, it's also it's sort of like a humble reminder, don't think everything you think is correct.
It's correct. Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Well, we're in that age right now because even any video that you see, anything, you constantly have to question and ask, where is the truth in it? And is the truth deep enough that if I scratch the surface, is it going to stand?
Is this real? I like to say, do you think I'm an open-minded person?
I think so.
Okay, well, you know me, but I have an opinion about everything.
Oh, yeah.
And so people are, you're so close-minded. I'm like, no, I'm not. What do you mean? Well, if you lay out what you want to tell me and it makes more sense than what I think, I'm going to throw what I think by the curb and I'm going to think of what you think. Give you an example. If I call you and say, hey, I got aliens, they just landed in my backyard, your response shouldn't be, well, I don't believe you because I don't believe in aliens. That's bullcrap. Okay, well, I'm going to come see them. And when I see them with my own eyes, now I believe you, How many people have been to the moon? I don't know, less than 100? How do you know the moon's not made of Swiss cheese? Well, I know the moon's not made of Swiss cheese out of authority. People tell me that I trust that the moon's not made of cheese. It doesn't make sense, but I've never been there. So a lot of what I know, I take on faith.
Yeah.
It's authority.
Well, speaking about seeing it, being about having to see it to believe it, you showed me this earlier.
Oh, yeah. Let's go for this one.
Which blew me away. This one blew me away. Can they see it?
Let me see it. Let's see if I can do it. Let's see if I can.
Yeah.
I got to talk for a second. And if I keep talking, it'll eventually. There it is.
There it is.
Okay. That lady is Helen Keller. And can I talk to you about this for a second?
Tell me about it.
Okay. This is why I love this. I found that at a gun show of all places, and I bought it. It was sold to me as an autographed, personalized photograph of Helen Keller. And I'm like, well, how can that be? She's blind. She's deaf. She can't talk. How can she sign an autograph? Well, I learned because I dug into it. But was I stupid to waste my money? Apparently what her team would do, because she was quite famous during her life for what she did, people would send her autograph requests. And she would personally sign these autographs. And what they did was they communicated to her who had requested it and what they would like her to say. And then they gave her a wood template with tracing blocks. And then she was able to set these blocks up in a way that she could write. And in this case, it says, "To Mr. Griswold, with grateful thoughts and all best wishes, Helen Keller."
How do you date something like this? Like when you're looking at it, and this always fascinates me when you were on Pawn Stars or things like that, when you're looking at something and saying the date part of it, of a range. You're not saying it was made January 25th and, the 1800s or 1856, but you're going to give a kind of date. How do you do that with something like this?
Well, okay, Helen Keller lived in the 1900s.
Got it. So we narrow it down.
But guess what? If you could, you pay me $100 to tell you what her life, when she was born, when she died, guess what? I don't know. You've asked me a lot of questions tonight, but I don't know the answers to.
That's good.
Well, no, the reason I don't know the answers to is because they're not that important to me.
Yeah.
When did Collier invent the right? It's 1822, I think. It could have been 1820, roughly the right time.
Okay.
I do know the Forsyth patent, 1807. I just happen to know that number.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you exactly when Copernicus published this book. I know roughly when he published it.
Yeah.
But the exact date really doesn't matter, does it?
What about for this? Like,
wait, can I just say that's why I sort of stumble through some of these facts that I'm not a fact machine, and it doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is the time period, what else was going on at the time, and what these things did to change history.
Oh, it's fascinating.
But on this one, for this one's, for example, I can't tell you when she signed this. It's not dated. I don't know who Mr. Griswold was.
But when you're going through the gun show, you see something like this. How are you able to certify in your head so you don't make an investment in something? I mean, what did you see in this? When you're looking at it, what'd you see? Did you go away and do the research and then come back? Because I'm your friend. Yeah. I hang out with you. You make decisions and move like I've never seen anybody move.
A friend of mine used to say he turns the page. In other words, he's a page turner.
Okay.
A friend of mine, Mike, he was a page turner. He makes a decision. He turns a page like
you do.
I'm like, boom, that's done. I tell you, you have to make decisions quickly when you're in a big show with 10,000 antiques to consider buying. But you asked me what I saw.
Yeah, what'd you see in this particular?
I saw like incredible humanity. When I looked at that and I said, what is that? Because I don't normally see that at a gun show. And they told me, I'm like, holy, it stopped my heart. I was like, wait a minute, Helen, and the same thing I just told you. It was incredible. I was at a loss for words. I said, I'll take it. How much? It was like, I'm going to say it was like $400. So what's the risk? It's an old picture, and this is where my antique part comes in. It's an old picture. It wasn't in this frame. And I'm like, and I knew it was Helen Keller, and it just felt real to me. But let's see, even if it wasn't real and it was a fantasy, it would have been devastating. But the idea that she did that blew my mind. As a spiritual person, I'm like, okay, you get people complaining every day. What kind of complaint? My shoes aren't perfect. My app doesn't work.
Yeah.
What did I complain? What did you complain about today? Something real that you complained about that you're like, I can't believe I said this.
There's inserts that I use in my shoes that go on my heels because I don't know if it's sublimate or I can't remember the name. It's like inverse or whatever. But the insoles are little almost gel forms and they have sticky on them.
Right.
And they keep my heel high so it goes into the center because I have the tendency to go out.
Right.
And the sticky got some sand on it.
Yeah, you know what this is?
What's that?
The world's smallest violin going.
You didn't even want to hear my story.
I don't want to hear. No, it's like, okay, what was the problem?
Man, this really hurt my heart, dude. It really hurt my heart.
I hurt your heart or your feet hurt your heart?
No, my feet. It was tough because this little gel thing got sand on it and doesn't stick anymore. So I have it in the shoe, and every time I put on the shoe, it shifts.
Oh, God.
And if you've ever had have you ever had something in your shoe?
No,
You've never had a rock in your shoe.
I can't even think about the misery that you went through today.
It's wild.
I mean, I'm busting your chops.
I know.
You know I am. But no, I mean, it means something to you. And guess what? Just because I'm going to say something, whatever, it's part of your life and it hurts and it bothers you. But then when you look in context, what she did, or, you're like, crazy. Guess what I did today? I went to a doctor's appointment. I had lunch with a friend. This was not a day where I got a lot of examples, but I complain about stuff all the time. It's really stupid. They're like first world problems. I mean, this woman, blind, deaf, and mute, and this is nothing to compare to the stuff she did in her life.
Yeah.
I mean, learning to communicate.
That's
period.
Wild. So
this is a physical
that's
testimony to this woman learning to communicate. Imagine, take your sight away, take your hearing away, and take your ability to speak away. And yet you can communicate with the outside world intelligently. Incredible.
That's wild. So when you bought it, because you said, boom, I just make a decision. Yeah. Did you then go and say, like, research her writing and look at it to match it up?
I'd never seen one before. Found a couple more. Read up on what was how she did it, and then I was like, yeah, okay, I was right. But I've been wrong plenty of times.
So when you Googled it and you looked at the handwriting, like if we were to Google her handwriting right now, you would look.
You can probably find examples of something like this online. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's just so again, just like every other one of these things. To me, this speaks to me personally.
Yeah.
It speaks to me as a human being. And it puts in, as I talk to you, these artifacts, they're little thought machines. And that gets my mind thinking, about a whole bunch of stuff.
If you got to keep any one of the four.
Yeah. I know what I keep.
And the three had to go away, what would be the one you keep?
I should ask you that question first.
I go for
wait. One, two, three, and we point to the thing we're going to keep.
Okay. I think we're pointing to the same thing.
It's going to be 1, 2, 3, point. Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, point. Exactly. That's it.
Copernicus.
Yeah. Copernicus.
Cappy. Yeah. Cappy is
good old Cappy. Yeah.
Good old
That's
Cap.
That is this truly is. It's like having a Gutenberg Bible. It's like having. I think this is on par with not a lot. I mean, these things are all incredible.
Oh, they're amazing.
But this is a piece of uranium.
This uranium, my friend, his Jacob. Jacob is going to freak out on this, and I'm going to tell you when I'm going to see him again.
Okay.
And then I want him to see it.
Well, he should hold it because that's what's crazy.
Dude, this is nuts.
Yeah. Now, it's nuts. But again, obviously, this is different.
This is cool, but the Copernicus, like right when I knew what you were going to point at.
Yeah, well, got me too. I knew what you were going to point at. Oh, no one wouldn't. Now, guess what would be second? 1, 2, 3. That.
Wow.
It's not the most expensive thing by far on this table.
Yeah,
it's probably but to me, and the sad part about this is I forgot that I had this for sale on eBay, and I sold it yesterday.
You did?
And I'm so disappointed. Yeah, again, it's been a long. I've had it for a long time.
Yeah,
and I sold it for I think like $2,000.
Okay,
but I would buy it back again.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, $2,000 is going to come in handy around Christmas time, but I'll never have another one. But guess what?
Yes, you will. You'll find something
I have
else.
the memory of having it.
What is the craziest thing recently that you've come across? Because you've had this one for a little bit of time, but we could be a precursor because I want to do this more. I think it's fascinating. I mean, sitting down with you is fascinating, and you always end up with something. You probably got something. Do you have something in your pocket right now?
Let's see. I got something in my pocket. No, it's just a set of car keys.
Okay.
Sorry. It's got a carabiner, though. Let me tell you a story. No, I don't know we should find out how the carabiner came about. But let me say that this week, I can't say I've found something like this, but the good news is that I can lay my hands on 100 things like this. Maybe not like this book. Maybe 5 things like this book. Yeah. So maybe next time I come, I'll bring one book like Copernicus worthy kind of thing, and 3 or 4 other things. But the Fanta was one of my favorite stories.
That's
incredible because history's all around us. Here's a couple of off the cuff ones. Do you know what Lamborghini made before they made Lamborghinis?
Mm-mm.
Tractors. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
How about?
Is there any Lamborghini tractors out there?
Yeah, and again, love to see one. But how's this one? And I don't know the story behind that. How about Nokia, the Finnish telephone company? Guess what they made? Pulp for paper. And then they transitioned and pivoted and made rubber boots. Now, Nokia, I think, is short for the river that the factory was on. But now then for a time, they were the premier mobile phone maker in the world. How's another one for you? World War II, the M1 carbine, one of the main guns we used. Guess who made the World War I carbine? That's the M1 carbine. Lots of companies made them. IBM made carbines. The Underwood, I think it was the Underwood typewriter company. General Motors made carbines. Why? Because they could make stuff. They had sewing machine companies made machine guns. I mean, that's just crazy stuff. There's history everywhere you look. And I found this Fanta in your refrigerator this morning at Men's Small Group, and there was history there. Why don't you, a little homework for you, research who created the on-ramp, off-ramp sort of like overpass system. Little clue, it was the Nazis. Okay, but all of the way our overpasses are designed, it came from Nazi Germany. Sort of interesting, huh?
Yeah.
So literally you can dig. You're not going to dig and find like the Copernicus book, but there's a lot of cool stuff you can learn about if you just open your eyes and look around. And it's not just like, ooh, that's cool, but it's stuff that can actually teach you something. And if it's as a parent that can give you a way to talk to your kids about something, the next time they complain, say, let me tell you about Helen Keller, you moron, or something like that. History gives you a different perspective that a lot of people don't have right now.
Wow. You're a genius, man.
No, I'm not a genius.
You are. It's fascinating. I tell, honestly, I brag about you all the time. I tell all my friends, and I feel so lucky, but I also feel I have an unfair advantage because I get to hang out with you all the time.
Well, equally, and I'll say something you have that I don't have, is you have I've spent my life making money off of history.
Yeah.
But sharing it when I can. And I'm passionate about sharing history.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I got on TV by accident, I was like, oh my God, now I can tell millions of people about history. This is so awesome. But I don't really have, TV isn't what it used to be. Now it's all online and podcasts. And that's where people actually ask me, don't I know you from YouTube? I'm like, no, you know me from someplace else. But the point I'm trying to make is that, with something like a podcast, you really can reach a lot of people. And it's not like, hey, look at this cool pistol, or look at this neat, can of sugar water. It's did you know?
Yeah.
What if I told you? Those are great questions. Did you know? What if I told you about this? We can look around. I'm sure the possibilities are endless. Thank you, Kelly.
It's a pleasure, man. I mean, it blows my mind every time that we get a chance to be able to talk. And again, like I was on my dog walk before we came up here to the studio, and I was just bragging about you then. I was telling a couple of the stories, and my friends were, I mean, you give me street cred, which is amazing.
Well, you were telling me about, I'm going to tell you your golf story today. The guy you golf with by accident has no idea who he got to golf with. I mean, seriously, say, oh, can I go? It's some Rastafarian white guy, that plays golf with like rusty Tiger Woods style clubs. And
it wasn't Tiger Woods; it was more Happy Gilmore.
That's
man.
what I meant. Happy Gilmore. I don't play golf.
Okay.
I'm not good at it. But two things. Number one, I'm not a genius, and I'm not making history. I'm just talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about these people, they're incredible. You talk about the people behind every one of these things. They're incredible. And you are incredible because you just got a what? Wait, did I ruin it for other people? You don't have to
This
say.
is the first time that I'm saying it.
So what did you get recently, Kelly, that many people who spend decades practicing a particular sport don't get?
I got a hole in one. It was, I tell you, like it was, if you know me and businesses, different things like that, I love to promote things. I love to talk about things that I'm super passionate about. You asked me about that. I haven't really told many people. I haven't posted it on social, anything like that. It happened, and it was this surreal moment. Because my brother was joking with me saying that he golfs 100 rounds a year, and he's never got one. And I'm not a golfer my golf clubs are from Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or something like that. You know what I mean? But it was a phenomenal thing. It really, that for me now, as I'm sitting down with you, that was a piece of my history. There's a piece of history in my life. And when you were saying how important history is, I didn't realize it. Now I'm this is making me think. This is making me think. You know, the gun, the picture, making me think.
What did the hole-in-one make you think?
Anything's possible.
Nice. Yeah.
And I think the coolest thing is that it's Proverbs 10:22. That says God basically it talks about God's amazing blessing that will come with no labor on your part. And I think it was a big sign to me that I can try all I can in my life, but it's going to be God that does the work. I can prepare, but he's going to do the labor.
Especially with a hole-in-one, you know.
Good Lord.
What I would have thought
What's
if
that?
I got a hole-in-one, there is a God.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Well, my stepson got a hole-in-one, and he's an amazing golfer. And I think it was he that told me, or maybe I told him because I was so smart or something. I'm like, you work to get close to the pin, but it was just luck that put it in the hole. Or not luck in your case or this case.
No, it was luck on my side.
But I mean, I don't mean to diminish that because when you told me that this morning, I'm like, I can't believe I'm sitting in a room with someone that was my first thought. First, I thought, well, there is a God. Then I'm like, I can't believe Kelly got the hole-in-one. It was him that got it. And then I thought that guy he was playing golf with, Rando, he has no idea who he was playing golf with. Thank God he got the hole-in-one and he saw it, so he at least had some idea.
Well, I think it's the same. Honestly, it's the same way. Like I was just talking with a kid about uranium, and I told him that I have a friend that you had told me about a block of uranium. You had told me about this thing. I didn't know I was going to get to see it, and then getting to sit with someone who has the Copernicus Cappy.
Yeah.
We've got
The
Forsyth.
Collier revolver. That's the Collier revolver.
That's not the Forsyth.
No, Forsyth.
Collier.
Forsyth
Was before.
Forsyth invented the percussion cap, and Collier.
That's the Collier.
Made the pistol that Colt used to make the first commercial.
Is Collierville, Tennessee, named after him?
I have no idea.
We need to look that up.
However,
too.
I learned another total rando piece of history. I'm addicted to like podcasts and YouTube.
Yeah.
Rhodesia and the Rhodes Scholarship are very closely related. Rhodesia was like created by like a diamond mine fanatic who killed bajillions of people to get diamonds and stuff, and then he used all his money and founded a scholarship called the Rhodes Scholarship. It's a great podcast. I wish I could find it, but just connections like that. You know? Oh, really? One of the most often bragged about and highly sought after scholarships was built on the back of dead diamond mine slaves. Go figure.
Craig, we're gonna have to do it more often, man.
Let's do it.
Honestly, I was talking. I don't know the word. I said correspondent. That sounds very stiff.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to sit down and I want to talk history.
Well, if we can tie this is a germination of a good idea. I can bring stuff like that, but it's not just about and this is what I've enjoyed about this. It's not how much is it, how cool is it, how cool are you? It's what are these pieces, how do these pieces speak to you as a human being?
Yeah.
And what do they say about us today? How do they inform our future and our present? Again, I sound like I'm winning Miss America, but that's why I love history. That's why I love it, because it means something. It's not just this dry, dusty place. It's a place where you can actually dig down, learn what it is to be a human being, and not only see where we've been, but where you hope to go and where you hope to not go.
Yeah. I mean, you're incredible, man. Let's take you out with this. Watch this.